can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when they was doubting on the kid. Now they tuned in cause my game too legit.
Fantasy Airlines Nation. Airline Nation. Fantasy Airlines for the nation. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner.
Yeah. Analytics off the chain. All the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation.
I'm a headliner.
Yo! What up, nation? What's going on, everybody? Saturday afternoon, and one of the best days, honestly, of the entire NFL offseason. The Combine in Indianapolis is currently going on. And I decided to go live. Let's go live. Let's talk about the Combine. I've got it running on the screen right next to me. I've got all of my breakdowns. I've got everything. I've got everything in front of me. We're going to be flashing some scouting reports up on the stream. We're going to be talking about certain players. We're going to have a good time. Might be live here for like an hour or so. We'll see. Maybe a little bit longer. What's going on, Howard? We got Briz out there and Jamie and Sam. Speaking of Sam Hartman currently running the 40-yard dash. He throws out a 4.8 to get things started. He is the only quarterback running the 40 today. All the other quarterbacks are not running the 40. So, doesn't surprise me that a whole lot of them aren't going to run the 40. We already knew coming into today that the top quarterbacks were not going to be doing really anything at the Combine. It was what it is. Christopher, we did not go this year. My daughter had a big show choir competition this weekend. Jake's daughter had a big soccer tournament in a different state. It was just one of those things where it was like, you know what, we're not really going to be able to make it work this year. We found out that some of the bigger names were completely skipping on-field stuff, and a couple of them, Marvin Harrison Jr., looking at you, skipped even the media portion of it. So we said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and skip it this year as well, and we'll be in Detroit for the draft. So we'll head to Detroit for the draft this year. Decided to skip the Combine this year. But that's okay. It's a fun time down there, but it is what it is. We're hanging out at home, paying attention to everything this week. I feel like I'm actually getting more done anyway. The wide receivers are going to be fast today. There's going to be some really, really, really fast wide receivers. Looking forward to seeing what they run today. Sam Hartman going to run his second 40 right now. Again, he's the only running back running a 40 today. I think JJ was going to run the 40. Then he said he had a little bit of hamstring tightness earlier in the day, so he decided not to do that. He also didn't do like the broad jump and things like that, but he is still going to be throwing. So he's going to be throwing. Michael Penix is going to be throwing. Bo Nix is going to be throwing. Those are still three guys that we need to see. Obviously, Caleb Williams is not throwing. Drake May is not going to be throwing. But Drake May, his hair slowed him down. Sam Hartman's hair slowed him down. 4.82 unofficial there on the second running attempt. Rubio, running backs already went. Absolutely. Running backs already went, and I can actually give you some of those numbers real quick. I've got those all. I did have a little bit of movement in my big board already today from the running backs. Oh man. Combine. Let me go to the numbers here real quick. Javon Baker, wide receivers are running into the 40 right now as well. $40-yard dash for the running backs today. Why is my computer talking to me? Oh, I got to mute that. Isaac Guerendo ended up having the fastest 40 today. He ran a 4.33. Jalen Wright ran a 4.38. Trey Benson out of Florida State ran a 4.39. Those are some of the top names that were being looked at coming into it. Guerendo actually ended up having just a huge day today. He's going to end up flying up draft boards. Jalen Wright probably is going to be my RB1 after we get done here today. Yeah, I can't show the combine as it's happening. That's a big no-no. You're not even allowed to record inside the combine, let alone me putting it up on my YouTube channel and letting it stream at the same time. We'll get a call for that, so no. Braylon Allen's time ended up being... Definitely wasn't what Braylon Allen did not run it. Braylon Allen didn't run the 40. Braylon Allen did not run the 40 today. Let me pop this out real quick so I can see. Pop out chat. Let me put that here so I can have my big board up and everything in front of me at the same time instead of trying to go back and forth. That's not what I want. Where is it at? There we go. Brian, yeah, I redid the back wall. Moved the underdog sign over, moved my helmets, got the plaque and the old degree hanging up there in the back. I absolutely had to add the Michigan National Championship posters behind me as well. So running back wise, Jalen Wright is my RB1 now. Blake Corum is still my RB2. Trey Benson was my RB3. We're going to look at that. Jonathan Brooks was my RB4. Bucky Irvin and Braylon Allen were kind of back-to-back for me. We'll talk about that. Keon Coleman right now, only a 4.64. Ooh. I would rather have seen a better number there from Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman for me, where is he at? Really for me, I thought he'd be okay top end wise. It's his acceleration that's a little bit of a problem. So it'd be interesting to see like his splits and where those splits end up. Keelan Coleman in here, I'm going to download, like while we're talking, I'm going to go ahead and put some of these things up on... No, I didn't want to do that. I've made a grave mistake. I downloaded everything together at the same time. I didn't want to do that. Yeah, 4.64 for Keon Coleman. Ugh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. When I watched Keon Coleman the other day, I also wasn't super blown away by him. I did have him a little bit on the higher side at one point, but he actually kind of took a little bit of a drop for me. So Keon Coleman for me, strength, catch radius, high point ability, aggressiveness at the catch. He is a guy that if you think about like a George Pickens, he does a lot of what George Pickens does, but he doesn't have like the acceleration or the burst off the line that like really good deep threats have. And he's also, excuse me, he's also not great when it comes to being physical with cornerbacks. Like his whole thing is like he's playing like a basketball player. He wants to go up and high point the football. He wants to go up. He wants to high point the football. He wants to come down with it. That's really tough to just do over and over and over and over. Troy Franklin up right now. This might be one of the fastest 40 times today. .441. I thought he was going to be under 4.4. So we'll see what he does on his second one. I thought for sure Troy Franklin would be under 4.4. Second run might end up being better, though. Troy Franklin actually got a boost for me over Keon Coleman this weekend. I've got... oh, wait, no. I put Brian Thomas over Keon Coleman. I had Coleman over Troy Franklin as well still, though. But Troy Franklin stands out on tape as just being an absolute just speed demon, man. A guy that just goes crazy all the time with his speed. We'll take a look at him real quick as well. Briz becoming a member for the 20th straight month. Briz, appreciate you. Let's go ahead and take a look at Troy Franklin here. Breakaway speed. Quick first move at the line of scrimmage. Burst after the catch. Acceleration. Burst. Quickness. That is Troy Franklin's game. And he can beat any defensive back with it. Any cornerback, any safety, anybody. But he lacks a lot of strength. So like what Keon Coleman has in the ability to go up and get the football and fight over the top of a cornerback, Troy Franklin's not going to do that as much. Strength in and out of his routes will be an issue. He's going to be like a true like speedster, a guy that's going to score based on his speed. He needs to work on getting stronger. He needs to work on being able to fight with those tough defensive backs at the NFL level. They're going to knock you around a little bit. 4 months to go. Going to miss my Rookie of the Year badge, though. The next badge is playing. LOL. Have a great weekend. I know we talked about updating the 2-year badge at some point. We're still going to try and get that done at some point. Jaquan Jackson, 4.54. Marshawn Lloyd should be higher, in my opinion, unless I missed you naming him. I only named, the top... For running backs, I only named like the top 6. And there's going to be some shuffling there. So he absolutely, Marshawn Lloyd will end up coming up as well. How did Davis from Kentucky do? Like in the 40? Ray Davis ran a 4.52 40. 4.52 40. Cornelius Johnson from the national champion Michigan Wolverines is now up. I'd say 4.52. 4.52. 4.45. Ooh, that was actually pretty good for Johnson. I was expecting it to be a little bit slower. 4.45. Best wide receiver time is a 4.40 by Anthony Gould right now. So yeah, running backs are going to end up taking a big maneuver in my running back rankings for sure. I'm going to be working today and tomorrow on updating my big board. Next week, I hope to do a big board video and put out like my top 50 prospects. Also hope to get another mock draft is done as well before we head into free agency. I would say right now, and another thing too, Let me see if I can find it real quick. Give me just a moment. I got to find... Keith Lee Platt. He has over on Twitter at MathBomb. He's the creator of the RAS, which is the Raw Athletic Score, and it just gives us a really, really good idea about the measurables of some of these guys. Do I only use that information when going through? Absolutely not. I look at video, I look at numbers, I look at a lot of different things. But I do, after the combine is done, take a look at everybody's raw athletic score, because a lot of times guys will come up the draft board just based on their athletic ability alone, because a lot of NFL teams will say, hey, you know what? We can make a player out of this athlete. We can do that. You can't teach athletic ability. Athletic ability you are born with for the most part. But you can teach athletes to become really, really good football players and coach them to a point where they can be impact players. And a lot of times, just based off that, guys will fly up the board. One guy, where is he at? Hold on. Troy Franklin right now is at a 9.33, which is considered like great in terms of testing. I'm trying to find the running backs though. He's been posting so many numbers. Running backs. So like a guy like Blake Corum, for instance, like I'm a big fan of Blake Corum. Obviously, he's a guy that I've watched play consistently over the last couple of years. And I've watched more film of him, more game of him than any running back in the class. And he has stuff that you just can't teach NFL players. So like when you take a look at his raw athletic score, his height and his weight are not good for an NFL running back. His speed score, when you take a look at the 40-yard dash and his splits, 4.47 for Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina. He's a name to watch day 2, day 3-ish. Luke McCaffrey, Christian's brother. He ran a 4.47. Blake Corum's like raw athletic score is not good. Ladd McConkey, we'll see what he ends up running. Out of Georgia, 4.43, another good score. Jalen McMillan, 4.49. Marshawn Lloyd out of USC, an okay score. Did not height and weight are not great. Here's a Donnie Mitchell right here. He's going to have a very good time. Good burst off the line. 4.35. So that leads wide receivers right now. 4.35. I thought Franklin would be a little bit closer to him, but he blew Franklin out of the water there. Jalen Wright's raw athletic score was a 9.82. That would be ranked 33 out of 1,765 running backs charted from 87 to 2024. Isaac Gurindo out of Louisville scored a 9.99, ranked number 2 out of 1,765 running backs charted from 1987 to 2024. Both of those guys are going to have huge risings, especially Gurindo. Yeah, Mitchell, really, really good time there. Really good time. It's already getting warm in here. Let me turn the AC on real quick. Yeah, so a Mitchell goes 4.35 to lead the group through their first run. And then we will have The second time's coming up here. Jermaine Burton, the second one. I'm just updating a couple of things here real quick. It would have been nice to see a little bit more out of some of the top guys. Marvin Harrison not doing anything. Adonze's not running the 40 right now. Malik Neighbors is not doing anything. One thing I will say for NFL comps, one comp that I was making prior to the combine, Jalen Wright, I was comping him to Jahmyr Gibbs. Yep. I was comping him to Jahmyr Gibbs. Are the Chargers now your sweetheart team? You know, I've always kind of had a special place for the Chargers, to be honest with you. Number one, their powder blue uniforms might be one of my favorite uniforms in any sport. Absolutely love those uniforms. But number two, I have always been a huge Keenan Allen fan. Loved Hunter Henry when he was drafted. And because of that, I always was like kind of rooting for LA to be a lot better. So for Harbaugh to go to LA, I definitely I like that. I like that a lot. So I definitely will be rooting for the Chargers. And I think they're gonna draft some Michigan guys, to be honest with you. I would not be shocked if they draft 2 to 4 Michigan guys. If they get their hands on Wilson's not running. I just realized that. I didn't see Roman Wilson run. Lit Nick becoming a member for the 27th month. You over the Scump Watch Party. Get them both up there on the screen. Boom. You should get triple screens going. Scump Watch Party, me, NFL Combine, and then you got yourself a freaking party. That's what that is. Jacob Cowing out of Arizona just ran a 4.38. Our second 40 under 4.4 for the wide receivers. Yeah, that's a really fast time for Mitchell from Texas. I've got Mitchell. Let's look real quick. I've got Mitchell at... I had Mitchell a little bit lower. Oh, man. I've got Mitchell at 8. Wide receiver 8 right now. That's too much. I'll take a nap. I've got Mitchell at 8 right now. Over him as they go to break on NFL Network. I've got Marvin Harrison at number 1. Malik Neighbors at number 2. Rome Odunze at number 3. Brian Thomas Jr. at 4. Keon Coleman at 5. Troy Franklin at 6. 7 is Roman Wilson. 8 is Adonai Mitchell. 9 is Ladd McConkey. 10 is Xavier Worthy. There's going to be a few guys that make their way in and out of those rankings as well. If the Vikes draft J.J. McCarthy, will you become a Vikings fan? No, I will not. I was taught, who was it? Kalafa in Discord. Oh, I don't remember who all was in the conversation the other day, but we were talking about JJ and if he's drafted. And I was like, honestly, I really don't. I know the Vikings are a possibility. I really don't want him to go to the Vikings. I really don't. Because I don't want to have to root against him 2 times a year. I don't. I'd rather for him to go to Las Vegas. I'd rather him to go to the New York Giants. I'd rather him to go to the Atlanta Falcons. Anywhere but the Chicago Bears or the Minnesota Vikings, please. Anywhere but there, and I will be sold. I don't want to have to root against him twice a year. I am working on a second mock draft right now. I actually had it completely done. And then, like, news broke earlier, late last night, that Tampa Bay, that Tampa Bay isn't going to re-sign Mike Evans before free agency. Mike Evans is going to be testing free agency now. So that's going to take a play into it. Brian told me what? What did you tell me? And then also with the news of Tyron Smith being done in Dallas, probably, that's really going to leave a big hole open that they're going to have to fill. And then with some of the performances today, like I said, there's been a couple of things that have changed in my opinion. So because of that, I want to reevaluate my big board and then we'll kind of come back to it. So I'm thinking about recording a big board video, post-combine big board video, doing my top 40, 50 draft prospects on Monday, and then maybe Tuesday have my mock draft. Is Penix a good fit for Atlanta? Let's go ahead and talk about Michael Penix. Let me go ahead and throw up his... let me throw up my scouting report for him real quick. I got to find it real fast. Bo Nix is not a first-round quarterback for me. He is not a first-round quarterback for me. Let me download Penix here real quick, and I'll put that in. Jalen McMillan getting ready to run his next 40. So for Michael Penix, I think he's a good but not great NFL prospect. He's your prototypical NFL pocket passer. He does very well in the pocket. He moves his feet. He's got good IQ, good processing, good pre-snap reads. He finds holes in the defense. He does everything that you want a quarterback to do inside the pocket. Like, that's what you get from Michael Penix. But the problem is he is an older NFL prospect, okay? He has a terrible injury profile. And I know it's not one of those things that may or may not continue. And that's why that's why I don't say he's injury prone, but I say he has a bad injury profile. He's inconsistent with his mechanics outside of the pocket. So he does do a good job of moving outside of the pocket when he needs to. But when you watch his mechanics outside of the pocket, sometimes he'll get outside of the pocket, and instead of like getting his feet set, getting his shoulders turned and things like that, sometimes he'll let those passes rip a little bit too quick when he has a little bit of time to kind of get his feet set and maybe make a better pass. So I want to see some more consistency with that. He also short arms throws. If you watch his motion, it's almost like he doesn't really utilize his entire body when he throws the football. It's almost like he just uses his arms sometimes, and that can lead to some underthrown balls, where if he were to get everything into it and really let it rip and step into it and get his core in the throwing process, then at that point we find ourselves with a guy that slings it down the field very, very well. So there are some inconsistencies with Michael Penix. For me, like, I feel like moving forward, he's going to be a guy that's going to be a good NFL quarterback, but not top tier. Will he win a Super Bowl with Atlanta? I don't think so. I don't think so. Can he make Atlanta a contender in the NFC South? Absolutely. Absolutely he can. But yeah, he's going to have a solid career if he stays healthy. So he's got to wrap up some inconsistencies. And the one thing that really helped him this past year in Washington was just that widespread go offense with 3 NFL caliber wide receivers and an offensive line that won the award for best offensive line in the country. So, but also when you watched him all year long, he didn't really, has Ewers just been forgotten? No, Ewers didn't come out. Ewers stayed another year. Quinn Ewers is still in college. He's staying at Texas for another year. But then you watch him go up against a defense like Michigan in the national championship, and they really got to him. And that's where some of those inconsistencies you saw kind of come out with his mechanics. So he'll be good. He'll be good. I don't think he'll be great. Will he be drafted in the first round? Would not be surprised. He's a second-round pick to me. Is he ready to go at the NFL level right now? I think he could probably start day one and be okay. As far as Bo Nix goes, I am not a Bo Nix fan in any way, shape, or form. If you're a member on the channel, I did a pretty extensive film breakdown on Bo Nix, and there are a lot of things with his game that are gross. There's a lot of his good things that are fun to watch. There's a lot of good things with his game that are fun to watch. There's a lot of good things that made him a quarterback in the Oregon offense. But the Oregon offense has the reputation of doing that, right? The Oregon offense is always so fast and so explosive and so wide open that really you get the ball to people in space and they make the quarterback look a heck of a lot better than what they are. And I've got Bo Nix here for you. Let me go ahead and put that up here real fast. So when Bo Nix was at Auburn, Bo Nix didn't even look like a quarterback that would be drafted. I'm not kidding. Like, during his time in Auburn, he didn't look like he had any type of NFL starting caliber genes in his body. And then he goes to Oregon, and for the last 2 years, puts up huge numbers. Now, from a strength perspective, he's got good arm strength. He creates plays with his feet. His accuracy on the run is good. He's the opposite of Michael Penix. Michael Penix does his best work in the pocket with good mechanics, good reads, finding open wide receivers, and processing what happens in front of him. Bo Nix does really, really good when he gets outside the pocket, can improvise, and find broken plays. His pocket presence is not very good. His pocket mechanics are not very good. He throws off of his back foot way too often. He relies on his arm way too often. So it's crazy to watch Bo Nix be so productive and then stand in the pocket and be a guy that doesn't look like he's ready to take on NFL defenses. There were times in the Pac-12 championship and other film that I evaluated where Bo Nix would basically put all of his weight on his back foot and just throw off of his back foot, and there was nobody near him. Like, the pocket wasn't collapsing. He wasn't getting a ton of pressure on him, and he would just drop off of his back foot and just let it rip. He's also a one-read quarterback. Very rarely do you watch Bo Nix's film and watch him go through 2 or 3 reads. Oregon's offense has always been set up to be a one-read offense where the play is designed around one player, and we're going to do all of these things to get the play open, and we're going to get the ball out quickly to that player, and we're going to let that player do things after the catch that other players in the country can't. Bo Nix, to me, is not ready to run an NFL team. He has a high ceiling due to his ability to improvise, extend play with his feet. He also has a very low floor because his mechanics in the pocket out of the quarterbacks in this draft are some of the worst that I've watched. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Drill's getting ready to happen on the field now, which means we're going to see the quarterbacks finally throwing. Penix, Nix, McCarthy are all going to throw. We're going to see the wide receivers on the field with them, which are good. What about Daniels? I watched him over and over, and he whipped up on bad teams. Half his passes are 15 yards short or over guys' heads. So let's go to Jaden Daniels here real fast. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, Warrior, about Jaden Daniels, because one of my knocks on Jaden Daniels is his velocity. He doesn't have the best velo on his ball, and because of that, he is going to leave some balls short. However, with that being said, he has pretty good placement on balls 20 or yards down the field. Like working to the sideline, if you watch these running backs run these out routes to the sidelines or these posts, things of that nature, on 20 or more yards down the field, Jaden Daniels actually does a pretty good job of hitting his receivers in stride. So even though his velocity isn't really what we would like to see, and that's because he lacks traditional NFL size, he's not really built like that type of an NFL quarterback. Even with those things being said, Auburn. I'll say it again, Auburn. Even with those being said, like, he does a lot of good things. Obviously, his athleticism is off the charts. Just mentioned how well he does throwing the ball down the field. He's very accurate on those passes. He makes up for some of those velocity issues by throwing guys open instead. He keeps his eyes down the field when he's outside the pocket. I love that. For an athletic quarterback that can get out and he can run and do some things, he will still keep his eyes down the field waiting for a receiver to get open. He doesn't always just take off and start running away all the time. And he has pretty good mechanics. He's pretty consistent with what he does with his mechanics. He's pretty consistent. So Jaden Daniels, to me, did lock in as my QB3. I was going back and forth between him and J.J. McCarthy, but I watched Jaden Daniels' tape, and I do feel like the kid has some really, really good qualities. And he's a little bit more track record proven with high passing volume than what JJ is right now, even though I fully believe JJ is going to be a very, 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 very good NFL quarterback. I think all the top four guys, I think all could be good NFL quarterbacks for sure. And then Yard. Give me a second here. Let me bring up Nick, you DM'd me. Where did you DM me? Oh, I see it. Hold on. Caleb. Let me download Caleb Williams here real quick. I'm doing some go routes right now, throwing the ball down the field. You watch a guy like Troy Franklin, when he runs, he glides. Like, his running ability is so effortless. Okay, taking a look at Caleb Williams. Same for me and Caleb Williams. C-Dub leaves his wide receivers open and doesn't pass to them. Watch the film and you'll see he's trying so hard to make every play and all about him rather than getting a pass out. My weakness right there, one of my first points, Nard tries to do everything. Right? So we're on the same page there. Right? I said the same thing. Tries to do everything. You do see that quite often where instead of trusting the players around him, sometimes he just tries to do everything himself. His Caleb Williams' strengths for me are his ball placement. Any throw he makes on the field, he throws with accuracy. He's got really good athleticism. He processes and he has good vision. He sees the entire field. He processes what's going on. He's able to see where a defense is going and what a defense is doing. His weakness for me is more mental than everything. You know, how is he going to deal with the up and downs, the failures at the quarterback position that rookies will face a majority of the time, especially if he ends up being drafted by a team that may not be that good. I don't necessarily think the Chicago Bears get substantially better with Caleb Williams. I do think they compete, but I don't think they're winning like a Super Bowl or anything with Caleb Williams anytime soon. He's got to be more dependent on the players around him to help make him better. And then he has average arm strength. When you take a look at his arm strength for how good of a prospect he is, he does not have the strongest arm in the world. He's going to have to build that up a little bit. And he probably will as he gets into these NFL weight programs and he's doing things with whoever drafts him. He'll probably end up getting better there as well. Nick sent me a DM. Is it dirty? That's exactly what he's got going. He's got the combine on one. He's got me on the other. He's got Scump's watch party watching some CDL on the middle screen. I love that. Nick's got everything going. So, I mean, I love that. I love what Warrior and Nard say because they bring up those comments in the chat and I throw up the scouting report for you. And they're things that I've mentioned in the scouting report. So I like that. It does have nudes in it. LL, get it, noodle? I didn't see the noodles. I honestly thought it was a bowl of cereal. I thought it was like shredded wheat. Oh, man. That COVID cough is lingering still, even like 4 weeks out. What up, Jesse? What's going on, baby? Well, we got 64 people watching right now. That's not all that bad, honestly. I didn't think I wasn't even expecting that many. So throw out some questions. Let's talk. Let's there is so much that I enjoy about this process. There is so much that I enjoy about the change from in-season content to off-season content. Like, I just love it. I love the NFL draft. I love scouting these next group of players. I love watching the film. I love putting together big boards and mock drafts. We do so much content all season long. So much content all season long that when we get to out of season and we get a chance to switch it up a little bit and I get to turn my focus over to rookies, it's so much fun. It's a really good change of pace. We're also doing more Dynasty content than we've ever done before. I've got tons of Dynasty and rookie stuff coming out over the next couple of weeks here. I did a Dynasty video last week for those of you that are playing fantasy football all year long. So this is like a really, really good... Ooh, the Gauntlet. I always love the Gauntlet. This is a fun one to watch. If you don't know what the Gauntlet is, you like spin, catch a ball, spin, catch a ball, and then you run down the field and you catch a ball from the right, the left, the right, the left, and it goes back and forth. So... Ooh. So Troy Franklin, he just ran his gauntlet, and I'll get back to these questions in just a second because the gauntlet's up right now, and I always like watching this because it's really, for me, I like watching it. It lets me see their hands. It lets me see their acceleration, their burst. Troy Franklin there, a lot of what I talked about with him. Let's go ahead and pull up his scouting report here real quick. I should have had all these downloaded in advance, but I didn't know who I was going to talk about when. Cornelius Johnson. Soft hands. He's got to get his hands out there a little bit. He catches in on his body a little bit too much. Definitely something I noticed while he was at Michigan. He'd make really, really good plays, like out of nowhere, and then there'd be other plays that'd be right to him, and he would drop it. Let's take a look at Troy Franklin here real quick. Luke McCaffrey is running. Troy Franklin, you know, I already brought it up. Oh, I already downloaded his. I don't know why I did it again. Breakaway speed, quick first move at the line of scrimmage, burst after the catch, below average strength. He's got to work on contested catches. We just kind of saw it there too when he ran his gauntlet. Doesn't really get his hands out in front of him, kind of catches the ball on him a little bit. Stiff hands as well. It's like he's fully extended to catch the ball and they hit his hands and he's got like no give to his hands. Like you got to be soft with it as it comes in. You know, kind of pull it into the body, be soft with the hands. He's got really hard hands when he catches the ball. Yeah, CJ does drop easy passes at times. There'll be passes right to him. Adonai Mitchell. Oh, he tripped. He was looking. I was just getting ready. I was just getting ready to talk about Adonai Mitchell and how smooth he looked, and he tripped and fell. He tripped and fell. All right, let's answer some of these questions here real quick. Hold on, I gotta get the chat back up. Where'd the chat go to? There we are. Who is my favorite quarterback in the draft, and who is your favorite wide receiver? What are also most underrated at the two positions? So quarterback-wise, I've still got Caleb Williams at number 1. That's not going to change for me. I know there's some concerns about different things with him. I'm still all on board. I'm still all on board with him. I think J.J. McCarthy is the most underrated, and I think he's going to create a little bit better buzz, especially today when he throws the football. And I definitely think there are NFL teams that absolutely love him in their meetings and interviews. I do think JJ ends up being a top 10 pick. I think a team potentially trades up to come and get him. I don't think one of those teams there will pick him. I think it's a team that comes up to get him. So I definitely think underrated is definitely there. As far as the wide receiver position goes, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is still my wide receiver 1. I think Roman Wilson, also from Michigan, is very underrated. I think you're seeing today Adonai Mitchell is pretty underrated as well. Lad McConkey is a guy that I thought was also a little bit on the underrated side too. So, I mean, for me, Brian Thomas, I can't really say Brian Thomas is underrated because he's already pretty much a consensus top 4 pick. And we're seeing it again with Troy Franklin right now. Super smooth and running. Catches the ball in on his body a little bit too much. Just like, it's not like he catches the ball smooth. It's like he got rock hands and it kind of hits and it throws him off. I think Brian Thomas definitely is better than Coleman and Franklin for sure. I also think he has a possibility of being better than Odunze. I don't think he's drafted over him, but I think there's a chance that Brian Thomas is closer to being a Malik Neighbors type of complete wide receiver than what Odunze is. Do you have a 7th round sleeper pick at quarterback? Like, are you asking me to try and pick a Brock Purdy out of nowhere? I don't think I can do that for you, to be honest. I don't. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Joe Milton finds himself with a team where he can work on a few things. The thing is Joe Milton's got the arm. Like, he's got an absolute cannon for an arm, but there's a lot of other things he doesn't do well. Dynasty players to buy low on for trades this offseason. Dealey, I actually just did a video last week on that. A Dynasty video where I talked about 4 different guys that if I had to try and buy right now, I would absolutely do that. I would go check that out, and I'll break it down for you a little bit more. Chris, what's your take on Xavier Leggett? Steve Smith calls him a better DK Metcalf. Listen, Steve Smith is a baller, all right? He knows ball, absolutely. I don't know if I would go that far. Xavier Leggett, to me, I don't think I have a full scouting report written up on him. I've watched stuff though, for sure. Give me a second here. Let me go. I don't have a scouting report, so let me go find my notes for him real fast. Oh, okay, my notes on Xavier Leggett here. So for me, Xavier Leggett is like a go up and get it type of wide receiver. So kind of in my notes, what I've written about him so far is he reminds me of DK Metcalf in the sense that he just, when he did his combine drills, you know, he didn't look like super agile, right? Remember that? Remember when DK Metcalf came out and people made like a huge ordeal about his 3-cone drill, and how his hips look so stiff and he didn't sit down in his routes, and there was all these like, and that's what caused him to drop. In that sense, yeah, I get it. In that sense, I understand that. That does make sense to me. I don't know if I'm willing to go to the point of saying, because see, the thing for DK Metcalf is he was such a freak of nature athlete that it didn't matter. Those things didn't matter because he just beats everybody with his speed and with his strength. That's just how he does it, right? That's just how he does it. I don't know if Xavier Leggett is going to have that. I don't know if he's going to have the speed and strength to just outman people on contested catches. I don't know about that. So do I understand what he's saying about it? Yes, I do. But I also don't think he's as good as what DK Metcalf is either. Favorite wide receiver, favorite sleeper running back. I kind of talked about it already. If we're talking about just draft purposes, again, it's kind of hard to call some of these guys sleepers. I still think Roman Wilson is a sleeper. I think he's going to be a guy that will be really good out of the slot for teams. And I definitely think he could end up being that type of a player where he just dominates the slot. Tons of receptions, yards after the play, but it depends on where he lands, right? I don't think he's going to be an outside wide receiver. So as long as they don't try to push him outside, he'll be fine. Quarterbacks are making their throws now. Here comes JJ. Let's see how he looks here. Perfect spot. He eats up the middle of the field just like he did at Michigan, man. He puts the ball right where you want it to in the middle of the field. They're running just little slant routes right now. And every ball he's throwing, it's literally right here for the wide receiver. The wide receivers don't have to jump up and catch the ball and come down. They don't have to try and catch the ball behind him. They don't have to do all these different things. The ball is literally right here to them every time. And that's why Michigan was so successful over the middle of the field, because JJ would just hit these guys, like that touchdown pass against Alabama where he hit the receiver coming across the middle of the field. Because he hit him in stride and he didn't slow down, he was able to just keep his route going, get to the sideline, and score the touchdown. Here comes Bo. You can kind of, if you're watching the same thing I'm watching right now, watch Bo Nix and that back leg. So the first 2 balls he threw were low. They were almost at the kneecap, kind of thigh level for these slant routes. The reason for that was much better. But the reason for that is because he takes his drop back and he really stays planted on that back leg, and he just kind of uses his arm and upper body to throw instead of doing this weight transfer for where the transfer, all the weight, the power is on the back leg. You transfer it through the hips, you transfer it through the arm. That makes you more accurate. He sits on that back leg. He uses just his arm, and sometimes because of that, it causes him to pull the ball and throw it down at the hips. If you're watching J.J. McCarthy right now, he's throwing it either right in front of the head or he's throwing it at the chest, leading them. That's a big difference at the NFL level. If you're watching it right now and just kind of looking, okay, what are they getting? Who's throwing where? I haven't seen Michael Penix. Is he not throwing now? Did that change and I had not heard that? I thought Penix was supposed to throw today. I have not seen him yet. That's something that you have to keep in mind, that at the NFL level, that's the difference between a 20-yard pickup and a 10-yard pickup or a 5-yard pickup. When you can lead on those crossing routes and you can hit your wide receivers in stride, you don't make them slow down. You don't allow the defenders to capitalize and crush down on top of the wide receiver. When they can keep going, that makes all the difference. Bo Nix does not do a good job of that. J.J. McCarthy does. That's the big difference in those guys right there. And you can see it if you're watching the combine right now with me. And if you're not, watch it later. Watch how Nix sits back on that back leg and kind of throws from there. Whereas McCarthy gets back and he transfers his weight from the back leg through the hips. Playing quarterback and hitting a baseball have a lot of the same mechanics. And I think, and honestly, because... excuse me. I think honestly, because of my background as a baseball player, playing 4 years of college baseball, working in a baseball academy environment, receiving training myself, training other athletes in that setting, I really think a lot of those things I learned, I've been able to translate over the football, and I feel like that makes me better at my job, to be honest with you, which is crazy because I think a lot of people would be like, oh, I played baseball, nothing would go with it. A lot of the mechanics actually do kind of coincide with each other. There's different things that you do with your hips, your core, your legs, your arms, mechanics-wise, that hitting a baseball you have to do to throw a baseball. It's just, it's fun. Pitching-wise, there's a lot of things that you do from pitching that also translates to playing the quarterback position. It's not completely the same, but you do learn some stuff that does translate over. Which rookie could be a steal for fantasy? Jordan, honestly, landing spot means almost as much, if not more, than talent. And I will always argue that. Like a guy like Puka Nacua, right? Fabulous season. Record for receiving yards for an NFL rookie. He probably doesn't do that if he doesn't land in Los Angeles. He doesn't. Is he a good player? Absolutely. Is he that good in a place other than Los Angeles? I don't think so. There might have been some places, yes. I don't think so. Mahomes was a baseball kid. Mahomes was drafted by the Detroit Tigers even, my team. Yep, drafted out of high school by the Detroit Tigers. He played for Team USA. He was a very good pitcher, but he decided that he wanted to go to Texas Tech to play football, and he's made an excellent choice, I would say. Good on him. Savvy, in your opinion, which one of the young gun quarterbacks in this draft spins the rock the best at an NFL level for their ability to make all the throws? I think Drake May does a lot of good things to make all the throws. I do think Bo Nix, when he gets his mechanics right, he can make all the throws, and I think JJ makes all the throws as well. Joe Milton, for me, can make any throw because of how strong his arm is, but he's got super crappy mechanics and his accuracy is not that good. So that's the issue with Joe Milton. But yeah, those three guys to me would be the biggest, like the biggest guys that when all their stuff works together at the same time, they have the best arm, they have the best accuracy. If Nix can learn to throw from the pocket a lot better, he would be good too. Drake May, I also think spins the ball pretty well. USC running back ran better than I expected, looked tough but slow to me watching live games, so he's rising. There's a few guys rising. JJ's throwing some out routes right now. I missed that first one. It wasn't caught, but I don't know if it was overthrown or not. Dylan John, the running back. Let me give you my notes. What do you run? He ran a 4.68. Yikes. You don't want that. I just want to double check. Are any of his other scores in? His other athletic scores were not good. To me, Johnson's going to be like a move the chain guy, right? Like you take a look at his information, all of his scores and everything. And that's what you get. Like that's what you get from him. He's not really going to be an all-around back. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a bruiser, guy that's going to move the chains for you. To me, he's probably like an A.J. Dillon type of player. Good throw again there from McCarthy. That one right there was not great. He threw it behind the wide receiver. Wide receiver caught it, but it needs to be more in front of him. Now we're running like some deep post routes. Kind of the same thing, a little bit. Didn't lead him as much as he would have liked to. But when you watch JJ throw, watch his mechanics and his footwork. Joe Milton, when he throws the ball, it's effortless. It does pop out of his hand so easy. Not a great throw there from Milton either. McCarthy had a couple of throws that were not as good as what they were previously. Bo's up again. I think the wide receiver slipped there. See, Nix, he's throwing it low. He's throwing it low. Like that time, the wide receiver not only had to stop to catch it, but he had to go low. Same thing there. Back-to-back throws where the receiver had to stop to catch it, and he had to throw, like the throw was on his back shoulder instead of his front shoulder. That's the same thing. He's got to work on those hips. He's got to work on that transfer of weight. Any Sam Laporta-ish guys out there? For me, not really this year, no. Obviously, Brock Bowers is the guy at tight end, and really after that, there's not really anybody else that is any good, to be honest with you. Nobody that's immediate impact starters like Sam Laporta. I even have my own, I even have concerns on Brock Bowers being an instant success unless he goes to the right scheme. Yeah, Milton was at U of M, and he was not good at U of M either. That's why he transferred, because he knew Cade was going to beat him out, and he knew JJ was waiting for him right after that. There we go. That's a better throw for McCarthy. They're like running like long crossing routes now, deep post. Strong disagree, Dark City. Absolutely strong disagree. If you have analysis and things to back that up, would be more than willing to hear it in the chat. If you've done research on it, absolutely. But if you're going to call him an XFL quarterback, just have the research to back it up. Have the information that you feel warrants that type of an assessment. Have that information readily available. Let us know why. We'll chat about it for sure. I've watched J.J. McCarthy for 2 years. I've watched film on him again this year. He absolutely can make every throw in the playbook. He does lots of things well. I don't see it. And I would definitely be willing to have a little bit of a spirited debate here with you if you would like. They're showing a replay right now of C.J. Stroud last year. So good. So good. It's funny because someone on Twitter the other day was like, I'm sorry, but there wasn't anybody that had C.J. Stroud as the QB1 prior to the combine. So I went back and found my pre-combine video where I had C.J. Stroud as the quarterback one. And that's not even that big of a flex because honestly, there were a lot of people that did it. It was just more of somebody tweeting for the sake of tweeting instead of doing their homework. But yeah, Stroud looked so good at the combine last year, and I think there was a lot of questions about him after back-to-back issues playing against Michigan. Even though his games against Michigan weren't all that bad. I think his game against Georgia in the college football playoffs was just phenomenal. I mean, he looked like an NFL quarterback the entire time. There was nothing about his game. If you went through and you looked at like all of the players last year, like the quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud was always, what up, Josh? C.J. Stroud was always the guy. C.J. Stroud was always the guy that was the best mix of upside and safety. Like, if you wanted everything in a quarterback, it was C.J. Stroud. If you wanted to play it safe, if you wanted the best, like, floor, it was going to be Bryce Young because he just did so many things well, even if he didn't have the type of upside that C.J. Stroud had. And if you wanted all upside, it was Anthony Richardson, right? So that's how it was last year. Ooh, a little high for JJ there. Not bad, not bad. Definitely a little high. He's got to get that ball down. There we go. Perfect throw. Good throw by JJ there. They're running those out routes to the sideline right now. Okay, that didn't look like a good throw, but the wide receiver was like 4 yards deeper than the cone. So JJ threw it where he was supposed to, but the wide receiver didn't run to the cone, so he wasn't there. Again, another, unfortunately, just high pass to the back shoulder there from Joe Milton. Joe Milton's throwing his passes high into the back shoulder, while Bo Nix is throwing his passes low to the back shoulder. There was a better pass. Again, off that back foot. Not a bad throw. Not a whole lot of zip on it, though. Off of that back foot from Bo Nix. There you go, sitting off that back foot again. So that ball's low. That one was better. He transferred his weight there, and he powered through that ball. He threw it a little high, but that was better. Josh becoming a member for the 17th month. Off topic, but where do you think Audric Esteem lands? Whatever NFL team is wanting to give him a rookie free agent contract. I don't know if he gets drafted, to be honest with you. If he does, I think it's late. Because I think if you look at running backs, I mean, right now, running back wise, like, easy. Jalen Wright's above him. Blake Corum's above him. Trey Benson's above him. Jonathan Brooks is above him. Even coming off an ACL tear. JJ's back up again. Let me watch these. Same routes to the sideline. Ooh, a little high there. He's got the arm strength, though. Bucky Irving's above him. Braylon Allen's above him. Isaac Garando's above him. So, maybe he goes like late 5th, 6th, 7th. Would not be surprised if he's in a UDFA. Would not be shocked. Kyle, that relaxing stance you have going on is so meme material. We're just chilling, man. We are chilling right now, and we are watching. Chilling and watching. No disrespect. Oh, no, I didn't say that there was any disrespect. That's why I told you, like, if you had thoughts, you know, put them in there and let's chat about it. It's all love in football. I don't think he is an NFL quarterback. Some of the Big Ten games were great, and some games he disappeared. Maryland, Purdue, Ohio State. His interception against a MAC school. Well, I mean, interceptions are going to happen all the time, especially early in the season against MAC schools. You know, you're trying new things. You're doing different things with the playbook. You know, sometimes you feel really good and you're like, all right, we're going to let this one loose, and you probably shouldn't have. Those things are going to happen, right? That's going to happen. He was 6th in the FBS, though, in completion percentage. And this... So, I mean, interception-wise, he's never really been a high interception guy. When you're talking about games that he disappeared, you have to remember how often Michigan runs the football. And this has been like the harp on J.J. McCarthy since he announced he was coming out of the draft is he doesn't play in a high-powered offense. He doesn't throw the ball enough, blah, blah. But that wasn't the game plan, right? Like, that wasn't the game plan at Michigan. Just because they didn't do it doesn't mean he can't do it, right? Just because they didn't throw the ball 40 times a game doesn't mean he's not able to. And you also have to keep in mind from this past year, and it was well documented, if you watch the Big Ten Championship and if you watch the college football playoff, it was absolutely known that he was hurt, and Greg just said it. He was hurt against PSU and Maryland. He was hurt at the end of the season. He was not fully healthy again until Alabama in the Rose Bowl, and he tore Alabama apart. Penn State, they ran the ball against every single play of the second half, and Penn State couldn't stop the run. So why would they throw the ball, right? It's on the road. Bad environment, run the football. So do I understand what you're saying? Absolutely. But I also think in the same sense that is, and again, I'm not saying this to you to be disrespectful because a lot of people are saying what you are saying. I feel like that is a cheap breakdown of J.J. McCarthy because I don't think people take everything into consideration when saying, oh, he disappeared in certain games. He was hurt against Penn State, okay? He was hurt against Maryland. He was hurt against Purdue. He wasn't even 100% against Ohio State. He still went out there. That ball that he threw to score that touchdown for Michigan, their first touchdown of the game, is one of the best college football throws that you saw all season last year, threading the two defenders. Like, he makes those throws. And I understand, but I strongly disagree. And anybody that has that as their kind of like reasoning behind J.J. McCarthy not being a good NFL quarterback, I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to go watch game film. Go watch game film. Do I think Bowers goes to Indy? No. I don't think Bowers does. Istamine does run hard. Absolutely he does. But I don't think he runs hard enough to get a good draft position. He's going to have to be drafted somewhere. He's going to have to be drafted somewhere and then have some injuries for him to get any work. I don't see him being the type of running back that really like takes people down. Greg, yeah. I mean, Greg, oh yeah, that touchdown to Loveland against MSU, same thing, right? I mean, he's got the arm to make the throw anywhere on the field for sure. And I don't think people realize that either. I don't think people truly realize how strong of an arm JJ McCarthy has. It is strong. Like, he can match any quarterback on the field with his arm strength. I will say that I think his throws right now are okay. He's made some really good throws. I think there's also throws that people are going to look at and say, he should have made those throws a little bit better. And I think he'll clean that up, and I think at his pro day we'll see it again. Brian, JJ's also an underrated runner. He extends plays with his feet. Absolutely. There are countless times this year, third down, JJ McCarthy would get outside of the pocket, he would throw on the run, and he would make good throws. Richard, what do you think the Chicago Bears will do? Draft a quarterback or pay Justin Fields? I am under the impression now, my bet is going to be they trade Justin Fields and they draft Caleb Williams #1 overall. That is my opinion. But they could trade Justin Fields and they could get another top pick. I think they could get the 8th pick out of Atlanta, to be honest with you. Let me go. I'm actually going to go to Twitter here real quick, or X, or whatever the heck they call it these days, and just see what the vibes are out there. See how people are talking. Are we making some deep throws now? Some deep corners here. That throw by Nick's right right there. Dark City, no, I get it. Like I said, hey, you had an opinion. You brought your reasoning to the game. You know, we had a disagreement, but we talked about it. You know, that's all we can do, right? That's all we can do. And like I said, I understand where you're coming from. Anybody that says those things about I get it. Like, I understand there's some responses from people. They say things that just doesn't make any sense. Like when people say JJ McCarthy doesn't have a strong arm, I'm like, what are you watching? Like, how can you disprove that? But like the thoughts about he just doesn't throw the ball enough, or he didn't show up in games, or that makes sense because that is for the most part true. So you kind of have to dig into why. But yeah, I get it, 100%. These deep corner here. These are always good ones because you really have to have the ball placement really, really good here on these deep corners. You don't want to underthrow it and potentially... You don't want to underthrow it and the cornerback is able to pick it off, and you don't want to overthrow it because you don't want the safety coming over potentially to pick it off as well. So these deep corners, you really have to have the ball out in front and towards the sideline to beat your cornerbacks and to keep it away from the safety. So these are always like big-time throws here. Here comes JJ right now again. These are the type of throws I want to see here. Ooh, that should have been caught. Maybe let him just a little bit too much, but still was right where you want that ball to be. Good. That was Cornelius, I think. So him and Johnson matched up there together, teammates. Nice throw there. These are the throws that I got to see from JJ. That ball was a little bit behind. We got to get that ball out in front a little bit more. But those right there are the throws that I want to see from JJ McCarthy, because we talked about it earlier, right? He shreds defenses in the middle of the field. And some of that was schematics with the Michigan run game, and really just how devastating it was for linebackers to try and figure out, am I coming up into the box? Am I staying back? Colston Loveland has to be guarded. So shredding over the middle of the field, because you have linebackers collapsing, you have a linebacker potentially on a tight end, you have all these things going on. It made for some really good open opportunities for J.J. McCarthy over the middle of the field, and he was able to hit those. Those throws to the outside of the field is what I need to see more and more consistently. And Bo Nix right there, once again, we're not utilizing our back half. We're not stepping into our throws. We're not transferring our power. He doesn't do that well. And I really would have hoped to see that a little bit, more today. Because really, for me, what I'm looking for, good ball there from JJ. That's out where it needs to be. Could have been a little bit higher, but that's out towards the sideline. That's where we want to see that right there. My bad. I'm honestly surprised I'm still going strong right now. My daughter had a show choir competition today. Had to be up at 3 to get her to the school by 4. And when I say 3 a.m. to get her to the school by 4 a.m. so they could leave the school by 5 a.m. so they could get to where they were participating to participate at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Yeah, let me just tell you that one more time. 7 a.m. That's how my day has gone so far. We're feeling good, baby. We're feeling good. I don't understand Justin for Caleb at all. If they just take Harrison, they improve so much more, and I'm not a Bears fan. I think what you're getting there, you're taking a dynamic playmaking quarterback, and you're essentially trading to what you feel is also a dynamic quarterback, but maybe one that's a little bit more consistent with his playmaking ability with his arm. Justin Fields will always be more elite on the ground than what Caleb Williams will be. Caleb Williams does good things with his feet. He can get outside the pocket. He can pick up some yards. He's athletic as hell. He does all those things well. He's not elite with his speed and his playmaking ability, breaking tackles, making people miss like Justin Fields is. So you're really kind of going from that type of a quarterback to a guy that you want to play in the pocket a little bit more and be more consistent in the passing game. I mean, I like Justin Fields. I'm still defending Justin Fields. I still think he can succeed in the right environment. So when I say this, I'm not necessarily saying this because I think it about Justin Fields. When you take a look at this Bears offense, if you add Marvin Harrison Jr., but you don't like you don't like the consistency at the quarterback position, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd, right? The old saying goes. So when you take a look at Justin Fields, if you don't think he's the guy, if in your heart of hearts you truly don't believe Justin Fields is going to take such a big step for you this year to be consistent enough to keep you where you're at, you have to go with Caleb Williams. Because also with that being said, I've been over COVID for like 4 weeks and I'm still coughing. With that being said, you also find yourself in a situation where you're going to have to pay Justin Fields here really soon. If you take Caleb Williams, if you truly think he's better than Justin Fields, you're not going to have to pay Caleb Williams that type of money for another 4-ish years, right? So you're also resetting the clock on your quarterback position to maybe spend a little bit of money on free agency. And oh, by the way, you still have another top 10 pick. And oh, by the way, if you trade Justin Fields, you might get another first-round pick out of it as well. So that's really kind of like my thought process with it. Bo Nix looks like the guy that's been working in his father's construction company for the last 5 years. And one day they found a football and they were throwing it around and everyone was like, dude, you have a huge arm. Like, you should try out for this team. And then he goes out and tries out for this team and they're like, dang, this kid could play. Where has he been? And that's what he looks like to me. Bo Nix looks like the guy that stars in that movie. What's that movie? The guy from Philadelphia runs the bar, goes to the open tryouts. Vince Papaldi or something like that. Is that his name? Can't remember now. It's been a while since I've seen that one. They're doing some comebacks now. Okay, never mind. They're showing Josh Allen highlights right now. I was in the stadium. When Josh Allen was a rookie quarterback. I was there for that combine. Jake was too. Jake and I were both there for that combine. And we sat in the stadium, which the last 2 years they've started allowing fans to sit in the lower bowl and they allow them to be loud. Like, they allow them to cheer and stuff like that. Prior to that, 2 years prior to that, fans, if they came into the stadium, they sat in the upper deck. You weren't allowed to talk. You weren't allowed to have your phones out. Nothing. They didn't have concessions open, nothing like that. The combine experience right now, the last 2 years is way different than what it has been prior to that. And I actually like the way it's done now, so I'm not knocking it or anything like that. But when Josh Allen was at the combine, the stadium was quiet, right? There were some fans there, but not a lot, maybe 4 or 5 sections worth. It was all media. It was all film and camera crew. It was all workers, everything like that. When Josh Allen released that football, the entire stadium at the same time went, wow. Like, at the same time, everybody, you could have heard a pin drop before that, and then everybody simultaneously just goes, wow, when he launched that football. That's how impressive of a pass that was. And we're going to see, they're throwing the deep ball right now here. So we're going to see, I don't want to see a wide receiver stop. If you're throwing the ball down the field, I need you leading your wide receiver. JJ's up first, and then we'll go to Milton. Bo will be after that. There's a bomb all the way. Oh, he overthrew him. But there's that arm. He's throwing from the 10-yard line. And he just landed out on the 30. JJ threw it from the 10 to the 30. He's letting it loose a little bit right now. That one's a little bit more under. That's to the 30 as well. So he's throwing that ball from the 10 to the 30. There's your arm strength, ladies and gentlemen. If nobody thought JJ had the arm strength, there it is right there, from the 10 to the 30. Joe Milton threw that ball to like the 35, or excuse me, to the 25. And he's not even really getting all into it. He's using more arm than anything. JJ, you could see, use his entire body. That was a really good throw by Milton right there. That's what he does best. That was a really good throw. He hit his wide receiver in stride, again, to that 30-yard mark. Where was that? Ooh, that was to the 20. That's some serious arm strength there. From the 10 on his own side all the way to the 20. JJ threw it from the 10 on his side all the way down to the 30. There's Bo Nix using his entire field. He only threw that to about the 40, 39, 38 area. He definitely doesn't have the arm strength that Milton and JJ have. This one he get a little bit more, but he underthrew it. That one about the same area, 38-ish. He's not making these throws like JJ and this one he overthrew because he didn't get enough under it. He threw it almost in like a straight line to get a little bit more under it. Still didn't make it to the 30. Nix doesn't have that type of arm. Another reason why I don't see how a team can draft him in the first round. I think you have to have a little bit more of a bigger arm than that to go in the first round. Do think he goes in the second. I mean, even Sam Hartman's even throwing the ball further than what Bo Nix just did. I think they're going to go back through, and they're all going to get one more pass here. Or maybe like 3 or 4 more passes. Ooh, that was to the 25 from JJ. See, now they're just kind of letting it loose. Milton's trying to outdo McCarthy now. He's going to try and launch this ball, I bet. Oh, to the 19. Woo! Yeah, they showed the arms off there, boy. I tell you what. Milton threw this ball. What was that? 71 yards? JJ matched it too, though. Those are absolutely good throws. Big arm Joe. I was looking to see what else was being said on Twitter at this point. I'm not seeing a whole lot right now about JJ, honestly. Are they throwing a few more routes here, it looks like? You know what? I think that's going to do it for me. The quarterbacks are making a few more throws here. But we've sat around for an hour and 37 minutes, chatted about the combine, chatted about the draft, answered some questions for y'all, took a look at some scouting reports. I'm definitely going to be going through over the next couple of days and getting some things, getting some new things wrapped up. Going to get my top 40 or 50 done. Going to update the big board. Going to update position groups. Going to do another mock draft next week. So keep an eye next week for all the rookie content to be updated. And then we'll get some more dynasty content going for y'all as well, especially with free agency coming up here very soon. But Headliner Nation, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'm probably going to go take a nap if I had to guess. It's been a long day so far. I'm going to go take a nap and hang out. Hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Might get some Fortnite games in with my son as well. Who knows? Might be some Fortnite dubs. We'll see how things go. But hopefully y'all have a great rest of your Saturday, and I'll see y'all on the next live stream. Peace out.
can't bend